That's one of the things that stops companies from scaling is the company will rarely outgrow the leader. And it's something that is was difficult for me in every single company I've run. This is number 5, and it's kind of the same lessons over again sometimes. Of you just hit a ceiling, and that's typical, and we see this all the time. Companies scaling to 10 million, they get stuck around 1, they get stuck 3 to 5, 4 seems to be the magic number, and they get stuck there. They get stuck again somewhere around 7. And so there's strategic shifts to make on the way to 10. And one of those is building the leadership team. Stop trying to do everything yourself. Focus on the things that you're really, really good at as a leader, and hire people who have that expertise in other areas. And then there's kind of the second layer of that. So you have your executive team, your leadership team, but then it's pretty easy to have culture and values and the idea, kind of the mission, vision of the company through one layer of management. But then you have a second layer or a third layer. And so it's a different leadership challenge to lead through people instead of just lead people. And so I think it's really interesting just to see that dynamic, and having grown through it, I mean, even recently, of how do we keep that cohesive culture and keep everybody really focused on what we're doing in the mission vision of the company,
Hmm.
and maintain that culture, as we scale up, as I'm leading through people, as I only have a handful of direct reports and everybody else is reporting to somebody else. And then add on top of that remote. And I think that just adds another layer of complexity when you have remote teams, or you're in multiple locations, or even multiple countries.
Yeah. And are those the things you would say are on your leaders list right now? Is that what you're focused on, or what are the big priorities that you're dealing with?
Uh, Big priorities. One is, I think a lot of the companies that we work with come from a technical background, and
Mhm.
so the problem is always the product. And so it's, I've got to make the product better. That's why we don't have sales, or that's why growth is not happening. And so they'll hit essentially a revenue ceiling, and growth is stalled, and they're focused on the product and making it better, but it's really focusing on distribution, and getting the sales and marketing, getting multiple channels that are working. So feeling a little bit stuck at a certain revenue level, that's something that we deal with a lot. Another one is feeling like the world's best kept secret. And again, they see other companies that are have inferior products that are passing them up. And they're like, well, what's up with that? How can somebody buy that? Because I've got something that's so much better. But the problem is nobody knows about it. And so
Yeah.
again, kind of focusing on that distribution. And then the other side of that would be, maybe things are going really well. Maybe you're that company that is passing everybody up, and the calendar is completely full, and you've got no time to do anything else. The business is consuming your life, and I've been there. And so, those are things that we certainly want to solve, to get companies growing again, get them scaling, get them visible, and to have really build a true enterprise without it consuming everything about them. So instead of saying, hey, someday when I achieve X, then I will whatever, we want them to do the then I will now at the same time, and really live their life and enjoy it, not just be so consumed by the business. And those two things are not mutually exclusive. You can actually have an incredible business
I agree.
and a life.
Yeah, I agree.